Hello everyone. In this video, I'll try to show you how we can enhance the visuals of an architectural project, a villa, and how we can turn these visuals into a realistic and impressive presentation using artificial intelligence. Here we have multiple different visuals for the same project. We'll be looking at how to render them with a similar color and ambiance, and also how to visualize and present them in high quality. Now, in the first stage, we'll see how to quickly render these three similar angles using Archifruits.ai. Here we have an option called multi-render. I'm dragging and dropping the three renders here. Look, as you can see, I'm starting the render process for all three at once. The system will render all three with the same lighting effect, and let's see the result together. Yes, as we can see, our visuals have been rendered realistically here. It was able to maintain consistency here and here as well, but in this visual we see that it has deviated from consistency. While we normally have an angle like this, as you can see, it visualized it from a different reverse angle. Now for this, let's render this angle again and subject just this single angle to the rendering process once more. Yes, when we render it again, this time I get the result I want from the angle I want. But again, as you can see, it seems to be changing the angle a bit. I mean, the angle here seems to have been scaled down a little, but it's actually the same angle, just slightly altered. I mean, you can understand when you look at the perspective vanishing points from here. This situation always exists in our software, because the software tries to visualize it in the best way possible. Now in the front, in these areas we're looking at, there are no issues. But it continued this planter here, which it deemed logical. Then it also added the grills here, these wooden elements we see over here as well. We can remove these if we want. But for now, I like it, I want it to stay this way. So let's get this render again. Now we can see all the works we've rendered from here. Meaning we can see the latest renders we've done from here. Look, let's also download the previous renders. Like this, let's get these like this. Yes, now here we have different render parameters that we can calculate in different lights. I mean, look, as you can see here, there are lights. We can improve the lighting by using these lights. For example, let's use this visual here. I'm talking about this visual, everyone. Let's examine a bit how the lighting of this visual could be different. I want a more natural night light. Here, after selecting this, I'm performing this operation by choosing 2K Pro and lighting only. If I like this, I will try to light the other visuals from here as well. And thus, we will have both day and night renders. I will complete the exterior renders this way. But at the same time, we also have location renders. I mean, these will also look at how we can work with this specifically. When we look at the result here, we really got an impressive, beautiful night render. Let's take this and import it here again, everyone. If we want, we can also create a night render for the other renders, just like this one. Let's quickly create one of these. This one looks quite nice too. Look, the same settings are selected again. I'm rendering it again. So when we look at them, there's no inconsistency. They all have the same lighting atmosphere. For example, we have our daytime renders, and now we'll have our night renders. First, let's take a look at the current angle. Look, we also got a very nice night render with the same atmosphere. Let's do our last render, the night render. I mean the pool angle here. Let's render this one too. So after the rendering process, we can create different atmospheres using the lighting settings, using Starfruit. We've seen this together. Yes, everyone, as you can see, look, it rendered this one quite nicely. Let's take this one too, put it with our other renders, and take a look. Look, these are our daytime renders, and these are our night renders. We completed this process in just 2 or 3 minutes. It turned out quite nice. Now let's move on to another angle here. I mean, before we move on to revisions, let's see how we can visualize the other angles. I eliminated some angles here, of course, but for example, we need to visualize this one. This is a landscape image. Now you can render this in many ways. I mean, if you're going to do a daytime render, you can use Coconut again. But Coconut is a bit a risky situation. It might not give a good result. It might change the angle, but let's try it, because Coconut renders in a very nice, rich way. If you have problems with this, you can use Banana. You can visualize it using Banana 2K Pro. That way, the fear of changing the angle is also gone. Because Coconut acts a bit more freely. Sometimes it can interfere with the angle, but we don't want an angle like this to be interfered with. Because this is important for us. As you can see, it was a nice render. But we can see very clearly that it interfered with the angle. We're actually getting a view from higher up, not like this. It's exactly what I was afraid of. Now here in the advanced section, we're switching to Banana. In the advanced section, we're rendering the same angle again with Soft 2K Pro. Let's see what kind of result we get this time. I hope it doesn't change the angle this time. If it makes a change, we can continue by trying other models, or we'll apply other methods. For now, let's see what result it will give. Yes, everyone, as you can see, it didn't change the angle and visualized it exactly as I wanted. Again, we can look at the previous render from here. Even if it seems to have made a very slight change, it rendered an angle that is quite suitable for what we want. Let's download this one too. Now let's look at the night render for this. I wonder if we can solve this. Let's go to Starfruit again. Let's create a night render of the same visual, again with the same logic we used before. So look, the visuals we have now were quickly created in this way. Really impressive visuals were created very quickly in a short time. Now, of course, you can do these renders with many of the artificial intelligence render models currently on the market. But the point is to be able to do this in such a short time, and also to be able to work with the same method consistently every time. Look, our night render is also quite nice. We're also adding this to our renders, everyone. Now, our exterior renders are finished. There's one more, and I'd like to work on that one too, frankly. Render. We need to work on it a bit more closely. For this one, you can also use coconut if you want. This coconut works quite well here, everyone. In close-up shots like this, for example, it will probably place people here, enrich the background landscape, and try to make the sea in the background and so on much more realistic. Let's see how it does our exterior render. Yes, just as I guessed, as you can see, it visualized it like this. It made the background realistic like this, achieving a more realistic result. Of course, there are some mistakes here. For example, you can delete things like these with the help of AI in Photoshop. You can also work on it here, but it might be a bit costly, so I don't really recommend it. Let's download this. I want to try something else. This time I want to work on it with Banana 2K Pro. This feature is more impressive. It might allow us to get a more realistic result. I honestly want to try it here. And then we'll move on to the interior renders, everyone. We have 2 interior renders. How can we improve them? Actually, we can do this very simply and quickly. I'm going to show you how now. Yes, look, 2K Pro Banana did a better job, especially the landscape in the background and so on turned out better, everyone. I want to use it. Let's take this one and place it over here. Yes, so the exterior renders we have now look like this, as you can see, and the night renders look the same way. The only thing missing is the night render for this visual. Let's add that too. Let's render a night version of this angle, again with 2K Pro using the lighting only style. This way, we'll have both a day and a night render for each of our render angles. We complete the visualization process quickly, here within 8 to 10 minutes, everyone. Yes, as you can see, our night render is also quite nice. Let's download this one again. Now let's look at the renders we have again. Look, our exterior renders, interior, or let's say night versions, look like this. Now, we might have to make some effective revisions on some of these. We can work on many of them in Photoshop, but in some cases, working here can be more impressive. For example, in this visual, I need to specify that I don't need these lights at the top. We can put a few people walking here, a family or something. Maybe we can make different, slightly richer, more logical enrichments. I don't know. Right now, I want to show you how we work on this. In Coconut, we place it in the 2K Edit Canvas section. And here, look, by selecting these lights, we see like this everyone. Then let's write here, I'm saying delete these lights. Of course, you can also write this in Turkish. You can also make markings like this if you want, just so it fully understands. Then, for example, let's make a mark here. Add some family people. I'm using keywords like this. The sentences don't have to be perfectly correct. The AI understands this topic. It places visuals here accordingly. Yes. Then we need to write a general prompt here. Add some details and colors. Let's see here. Will it delete these lights? Will it add people here? We'll see the result together. Yes, everyone. As you can see, it removed these lights and it added a family, people here. A render was created like this. Now we can download this render, and of course we can work on these renders one by one. We can download this render and then use either carrot or papaya here. You have to do the same process for all the renders here. I'll just do it for one of them. Now, since this visual will be printed, you can render it in 4K if you like. So what kind of result will we get when we render with papaya in 4K? Let me explain that to you. Look, these plants you see here are not very realistic right now. For these to be more realistic, for the interiors to be more realistic, for all the details here, the people, to be more realistic, this clarity is very important. But sometimes we may not need this. The results in this visual we've selected, in this visual we've edited, might work for us. But what can we do when we need a higher resolution? Then what we need to do is actually very simple. Not just papaya, but performing the upscale process using dragon fruit here. This upscale process just upscales the visual as it is. There are no details. It just upscales as is. But clarity, as you can see, allows us to get a much more realistic result. Especially if you pay attention to the interiors, it does it without distorting the details. And of course, if there's text or anything, it will change them. But generally, it allows us to get very realistic results, folks. Look, you see, now, so you can see the difference between the two. Let's also see how we can render using only dragon fruit. Dragon fruit, again, we're doing 4K. This time you'll see the difference. Normally we encountered a render like this. Of course, there are some problems with the people. We'll see how to fix that now. But the plants and everything are very realistic. Look, the stone here, the sea in the back, the interiors look quite realistic, as you can see. We can do this in a slightly softer way and without going into so much detail. Look, on the normal original visual, look, everything became sharper, but it became sharper in its original form. Sometimes this is actually more preferable, you know. Look, especially the darkening and such here are gone. It made it more realistic, or rather it upscaled, but we already have a problem with the people. We'll fix them. You can also prefer it this way. Frankly, I want to prefer this one. Yes, it's very realistic there, but look, here the interiors and everything became crystal clear. I mean, it looked very clean. We do this with dragon fruit. Now, to fix these people and to sharpen some details, we use carrot. Look, these people here are currently very problematic. Let's take a detailed look at what the problem is. Look, you can see the people's faces, hands, etc. are very flawed, I mean problematic. I selected this, as you can see. I want to sharpen this area. The trees here, the stones over here and so on don't look very realistic. I selected this. Especially, look, there's a stone here too. I selected this too. Let it be a bit more realistic. I mean, if you want, you can also select the trees and stuff here. Especially, you can also select the plants in the front here. You have the chance to make 6 selections. I mean, I want to select this area a little bit like this, frankly. Let's select it like this. Yes, we can select a total of 6. You know, if you want, we can actually select this whole area. But let me select this area here as well. To be honest, let's not select this part, but this bottom section. It's enough for this part to be sharpened, guys. Like this. Yes, so we choose one of these two, restoration or clarity. I'm choosing clarity, guys. Of course, this is a 4K image. This is important. It needs to be 4K. It needs to be at least 4K. We won't get good results on images below 4K anyway. We get much better results at 8K, but 8K consumes a lot of credits. You need to be careful about that. In this case, we are performing a total of 6 restoration processes. People and some landscape details and so on, guys. Now let's see what kind of result we'll get. Yes, as we can see, the process is complete. Now we can see how much more realistic the people here have become. You can see that especially the plants, the stones and so on are rendered in a much more realistic way, guys. But it doesn't detract from our original ambience. So it's actually quite nice to enhance the visuals this way. Look, you can see the people have become very realistic, as you can see. These plants and so on, this stone here turned into something like a tent. We have a problem there. Yes, we can work like this, guys. Now, let's move on to the interior. We can run all the images we have through this process right now. When it comes to interiors, what we want to do with them is important. If we just want to get a render, look, we add our interior image to Banana and render it with 2K Pro. Our only goal is to render with 2K Pro. We're doing this because the goal here is to make the visualization realistic. If we want to try different design methods, different design styles for the interior, we can do that with Cherry here, but we don't want that. Right now we're working on the render, guys. Look, let's look at our image before and after. Let's compare them. Look, this was the previous version. The next version became quite realistic and people were added as well. Of course here, let's take another look. Yes, look, when you compare them, everything is actually quite good. It didn't see this wooden part here, it removed it. Anyway, let's download it like this, guys. We've downloaded it. Let's put this in our renders folder as well. Using the same logic, we're transferring our other interior here. I mean this one. Now let's render it again. Again, we're rendering with the same method with 2K Pro. Yes, when we look, let's examine it again. Look, it turned this render into a very realistic one. It's a very nice atmosphere. Again, let's make the people here much more realistic with the carrot module. Let's see this again. Here we come to the carrot section and I want to upload our image and select the people here one by one. Because this part, look, when I select it like this and start the render process again, these people will be much more realistic, guys. Yes, as you can see, the people turned out very well. They became much more realistic. It gives good results in 2K as well. Our main images were like this, as you can see, like this. And now our images have been completely re-rendered, and in a very short time, as you can see, we've achieved such wonderful visuals, guys. Now let's see what we can do to present these. In the lemon module, there's VO2 clean, VO2 clean. You can use whichever you want. Since these are currently 1080p visuals, I'm making my selection from here. For example, I can place 5 visuals here right now, folks. Let's make our selection and add them. As you can see, I've selected a total of 5 visuals. I want it to animate these. For this here, I'll select 10 seconds and 1080p. I want to perform a 10-second rendering process. I will render a total of 5 visuals for 10 seconds each, and I'm starting the process now, folks. Alright folks, as you can see, our animations are complete. Look, with Kling, we've animated a total of 5 visuals. They're all finished. The animations are completed like this. If you want, you can also animate the other visuals. Now I'm ending the video here. In a very short time, in just 20 minutes, we've seen together how all these processes are done. I hope this has been helpful. See you next time.